union that represents most LAPD officers says the chief was pandering to the public when he told the NBC4 I-Team last week he wants greater authority to fire officers accused of wrongdoing. Union claims there is plenty of accountability for bad cops already. Our investigative reporter Eric Leonard is live now with the latest on calls for reform. Eric?
Well, Chuck, this issue is really what was at the center of all of those huge public demonstrations that followed the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis at the hands of a police officer. Can the public trust large police departments like the LAPD to deal with the few officers who are found to be dishonest, use excessive force, or break the law? The LAPD says it's still investigating dozens of complaints that some officers used too much force during protests in late May and early June. The findings from those cases are probably months away. But last week, LAPD Chief Michel Moore told the I-Team he would like to have direct authority to fire officers accused of serious wrongdoing, something he says many members of the public mistakenly believes he can do.
People hold the chief of police accountable, and yet I don't have the authority. And so I think it's an opportunity for reform.
The union that represents LAPD officers says that's a hollow demand because the chief can already strip officers of police powers and send them home with no pay after a month.
Well, I think the chief's motivations are this political pandering. There's a wave of people and legislators, city leaders that want to defund the police department, that feel that officers are running around violating people's rights on a daily basis, and that is absolutely not true.
Right now, the chief can only recommend the most serious punishment to an internal LAPD trial board, which sometimes disagrees and keeps officers employed even when the chief says they should be fired.
A few years ago, Eric Garcetti and the police union made it harder to discipline bad cops. They put something on the ballot that people thought looked like police reform.
Former LA City Councilman Jack Weiss says that law change gave officers more control over who judges those trial boards. And as a result, he says fewer officers are found guilty or receive the most severe punishment. Weiss says regardless of the chief's authority, accountability must reach all levels of the LAPD, like what happened after officers used force against demonstrators and reporters during a May Day rally in MacArthur Park in 2007.
Within days of that violence, Police Chief Bill Bratton fired or demoted many top commanders of the LAPD. The police violence after George Floyd protests was even worse than we saw at Mack Park. And as far as I can tell, Mike Moore hasn't fired or demoted any of his top commanders.
Now, Chief Moore said in 2019 he recommended the firing of 26 officers. The Board of Rights found all of them guilty, but only terminated 15. So Moore says the other 9 remain on the LAPD's payroll. And he says he can't use them for most police work because they can't be trusted and can't be put in a position where they'd have to testify in court. Moore says the system definitely needs more work. Reporting live, I'm investigative reporter Eric Leonard, NBC4 News. Back to you.